Give a bit of quiet, please. Cheers. Thanks, Jez. Get that tash going. Moustache. Well, this has been the longest wait in history. And I'm not referring to Alan and Sam's wedding, although this is about the 15th date which has been set. I'm actually glad everything's gone fine and they're now husband and wife, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor. Hey!
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. No, it's the longest wait in history because knowing and being Alan's friend for over 20 years, I've hardly got a word in edgeways. Like that all the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to grasp this opportunity with both hands. Now, if I'm honest, I've been a little nervous about delivering this speech. So, I wanted to be as prepared for it as possible. Thanks, Phil. I did a little research on the internet. I bought a book. I didn't read it, but I bought it. I took advice of friends who had also given speeches. But the best advice I got was off a friend's father. And he said to me, John, the first and last word are the most important. And the closer they are together, the better. So I'm Johnny. Alan's best man. And this is the 8th speech I wrote. Not in my life. I'm not secretly David Cameron's spin doctor or anything. Did I? I do that to many women. Sorry. That's where I am now. I think I really got the last page. Yeah, I'm not... Jesus Christ, thanks, Sam. I've got loads to go.
Well, don't get to Palmer yet, love. Go on.
What time is close? Right, okay, sorry. Yeah, so, 8 speeches I've wrote, not in my life. So it's been recorded, Margaret, sorry. I can watch it back on your VCR player, it's alright. Jesus Christ. I'm just going to say that. Right, okay, so, I've known Alan all my life. We both lived in Saxted, went to the same schools together, both secondary and primary. When I say we went to the same schools, what I mean to say is we both stood outside the same headmaster's office for fighting each other for 11 years. In fact, I think that's when he originally asked me to start writing this speech. As you may have gathered from our fighting escapades, we haven't always been friends. In fact, I think Alan's mother... Yeah, let me deliver it, Margaret. Come on. Michelle, coming up here.
Don't stand outside.
Yeah, put the umbrella out on and get out in the car park. I'm on the 3rd paragraph. We haven't always been friends, Margaret. In fact, I think Alan's mother, Margaret, early name for me was that bastard. But over the years, as Alan got bigger and bigger, we became friends. Jesus Christ. I think you should have this get easy when I started saying it. I didn't know I have to answer it.
You've got a neck colour on the same table.
I think we really started to hit it off when we went to college. I remember getting on the college bus the first day. I walked towards the back seat, high-fiving all my friends I'd not seen for the summer, like in some bad American teen movie. And as I made my way to the seat, I noticed on the back row, Alan Taylor. I thought to myself, I got on the bus. But what came out of my mouth to him was, what are you doing here? Of course, Alan had Alan enrolled at Blackburn St Mary's College as I had. And it was those journeys to and from college where we realised we had a complementary sense of humour and became good friends. Many a morning we would be laughing all the way to college. But one morning stands out for me. Every now and then, Alan has a health guilt trip, where he basically does a few push-ups and quits beer for a night. And during this particular journey, he was on one of those and was eating an apple. Yes, Alan, this has made it into the speech. Most of the group congregated at the back of the bus. We were cool like that, and Alan was sat dead centre, chomping on an apple. And as he took a large bite, I must have said something to his amusement, because he started to laugh. But being a master of eating etiquette, Alan didn't want to laugh with a full mouth open. But the laugh had to escape somehow. And it did, ladies and gentlemen, in the form of a large elasticated string of snot. Out of his nose, almost hitting a girl on the side of the head, before slapping him back in the face. Well, my jaw dropped. The embarrassment must have been tremendous. Maybe a little what he's feeling right now. That's not the worst, that's not the worst, that's the warm-up. But yeah, they were the college days. I don't remember what I studied or what he studied, but I remember those journeys to and from college. I will for the rest of my life. My first proper job, after leaving education, was at Air Tours. And like every other stage in my life growing up, Alan followed me there too. He actually won a 5-star holiday to Turkey. Nice romantic little place it was. Love heart-shaped bed, petals scattered everywhere. Secret Lewis swimming pool, the works. Guess who we took? Actually, we had a ball. It was an all-inclusive deal, so we just got bombed on wine basically every night before going out eating the clubs. Alan tried his hand at a little bit of Turkish. I fell in love with the children's entertainer, you know, the usual. One night I will never forget is when Alan went back to the room early. Not because of that, but I went to go and watch a stage performance the entertainment team was putting on. Bearing in mind, we'd been drinking Long Island iced teas in the Secret Lover swimming pool for most of the day, and had about 8 bottles of wine each for the evening meal. So Alan had enough and stumbled back to the love nest, and I stayed to watch the show. Now I say show, it wasn't really a show. The entertainment team was actually rehearsing for tomorrow night's show, and I'd snuck in all stalkerish to watch this Turkish girl fall in love with. Anyway, after spying on her for about 2 hours, I decided I had enough, and I went back to the room also, but desperately in the bathroom. So I went through reception, got into the lift, clutching my bladder, and as soon as the lift doors opened on our floor, I could hear the TV from our room, even though it was at the other end of the corridor. So I walked down, knees crossed, shuffling away to the door, tried to open it. It was locked. Banged on the door. No answer, obviously. Banged on it again. Still no answer. Started to panic. A bit like now. What was I going to do? Do I risk making my way back down to reception for a spare key and risk wetting myself? I had no choice. The TV was that loud. Sleeping Beauty in the air were never going to fucking hear me, so I made a dash for it. Eventually, I made it back from reception. My bladder was still intact. However, I do fear that I may have done some serious irreparable damage to it that night, holding on for a week that long. Sorry, Laura. I fell into the bathroom, trousers around my ankles, and relieved myself. That's not how I did it. We'll see that later.
That's how we danced.
I'm almost there. Yeah, so I fell into the bathroom, relieved myself, and then tried to compose myself again, and I walked into our bedroom. Our bedroom. Oh, can I ever say that again? Yeah, so walked into the bedroom. He's led there, naked. A sight. Covered in chocolate. After raiding the minibar again. It cost more than the holiday, to be honest, that minibar bill. About 80 Twixes. Snoring away. I think I must have stared at him for about an hour. After doing that for an hour, I climbed into our love heart-shaped bed, dragged over the chocolate-stained covers, and settled in. And then the snoring broke. And I thought to myself, brilliant. Now he fucking wakes up. Sorry, Ella. There are literally millions of different stories I could have chosen to tell you today. We once woke up after a night out on the beer in a wacky warehouse, actually in the ball pit. Another time, sorry Sam, Alan once kissed a girl who looked like Macaulay Culkin. But the less said about those stories, the better.
Scarborough.
Yeah, Scarborough, that right, says, yeah. How much was like that?
Possibly there.
Yeah, I don't give up.
Sean drew a picture.
As I mentioned before, Alan is a master of eating etiquette. And no other story could demonstrate this more.
Oh no.
Yes. Alan had not been with Sam for very long, and I had only met her on a couple of occasions. So Alan invited me out with them both in order for us to get to know each other a little better. At this point, I don't think Sam had realised that when she started dating Alan, she had in fact taken on 2 boyfriends. Alan and me.
You're his second wife.
Yeah. I know, I've got
Romance.
You're giving me after. Something which she has learned all too well in the years that have passed. So as I was saying, Alan was taking his new girlfriend Sam out for a romantic meal, and had dragged me along with him. We decided to go to one of the Indian restaurants in London. Alan, not being the shining example of a cultured person, didn't know what to order. Basically, if the item on the menu didn't end in pie, Alan didn't know what it was. So I took the lead and ordered poppadoms and dips for starters. With an air of caution, Alan pointed at something and said, "What's that supposed to be?" "It's mango chutney. I think you'll really like it, pal." Tentatively, Alan tried it. And I don't know who was more surprised, me or him. He actually did like it. He then proceeded to gorge the rest of the Indian delights which were spread across the table. Now Alan was enjoying himself. He was right at home, eating everything he could. I think at one point he forgot me and Sam were even there. He continued to devour the complete starter himself until suddenly he stopped and stared at something. Me and Sam looked at each other, then looked back at him. And with honey and bhaji all around his mouth, he grasped at a small bowl and put it to his lips. And while taking a large gulp, he muttered, "Mmm. So what's this one called, Johnny?" Laughing, I said, "That's a lemon water, pal. Use it to wash your hands."
It's true.
So, Sam, at least in Alan's defence, he has never tried to be anyone he's not. And he's always stayed true to himself.
Yeah.
Even if that is a little rough around the edges. My only question to you would be, why the hell have you married him?
Diamond.
No, I know exactly why you married him. Alan is loyal, kind, and a funny guy. A gentle giant, and obviously a demon in the sack. He's as honest as they come, and a good-hearted man. And will look after and protect you until his last breath. I know this because those are the very same qualities I had married him. Except the demon in the sack one.
Yeah.
Don't. And it's because of those reasons why he's one of my best friends, and always will be. No. Now up next is Alan. And perhaps I should have been a little bit kinder, as he now has the right to reply. But before I hand over to Alan, who actually told me earlier he'd love everyone to boo and heckle him, should you wish to do so, I would like you to all be upstanding and raise a glass with me for the happy couple, by both my dear friends, to Mr. and Mrs. Taylor.
Mr. and Mrs. Taylor.